Well, as we go over the top of the climb here, there's still 18 miles to go to the finish, and they're not so easy. But the good thing about it is we start to swing round, heading back towards Dumfries, and the wind will be behind them.
That was the Australian Matthew Heyman on the front of the main field. Heyman, of course, one of the strong men in the Sky team. Now then, we're getting towards the summit of the final climb of the day, Banks Hill, and it's here, of course, that Russell Hampton will be looking to add. He does, in fact, he picks up the maximum points, so he's won all 3 climbs today, so he is the leader of the King of the Mountains.
No, this is great to see. 2 riders been in front all day, sharing the jerseys. Hampton at the front for Sigma Sport, taking the Skoda King of the Mountains jersey, and Gilbert coming through in the green jersey will be on the podium for the Sprints jersey, and that's the Yodel Sprints jersey.
The conditions are still very, very brutal indeed. It's pelting down with rain, as you can see, as HTC Columbia now come right to the front, and the bunch are filling all the road here. So the pressure isn't fully on, but it's beginning to thin out, which means the big teams are starting to turn the screw.
Well, they're all interested in keeping the riders near the front, the sprinters on their team as close to the front as possible, because you've got to remember we're getting closer and closer to go to the finish.
So the lead is falling all the time, and those two now know that they're beginning to be put under the cosh.
Well, you can just see the commissaire cars behind them, the neutral service, the 2 service cars, so the gap is still a minute at the moment, but coming down very, very quickly.
Rabobank also are in the mix here at the front, and we did speculate early on in our commentary about the chances for Theo Boss, so they'll be looking for the interests of Boss, but you can see now it's Team Sky that are coming through, and that looks like Dowsett.
Yeah, Alex Dowsett at the front, actually a training partner of Russell Hampton, but it's the same 3 teams dominating the front of the bunch at the moment: Sky, HTC and Rabobank.
And there it is for you. Dowsett did get 3rd over the climb, and Heyman 4th. So Sky beginning to gather here and start to ratchet the pace up.
Well, this is what it's all about, Hugh. We get into the final 20-odd kilometres. These 2 riders hanging on for dear life, and can they make it to the finish? We'll have to go wait and see, but I don't think so, with Sky, HTC and Rabobank prepared to ride hard on the front.
It's a big ask, isn't it, when you've got these 3 teams now taking interest in the possibility of the stage victory. How much longer are they going to enjoy the freedom? But the rain is peppering down.
Yeah, you got to remember as well that there's 3 strong teams here pushing hard in the front. There's another 13 teams in this race. I'm pretty sure you might see a counter-attack if these 2 riders are brought back soon.
Well, we shall wait to see whether that does occur, but at the moment Rabobank now have come into the mix as well. So the strength of Rabobank, HTC and of course Sky all knitting well together, and the odds really are stacked against them.
Well, you can just see the grit and determination on the face of the 2 riders in front, but these roads, there's a main road all the way into the finish, so they'll be seen in these big long straights.
But of course there are sections that are narrow when they go under the tree, so that could play into the hands of the leaders.
Yeah, of course they don't want to bring them back too early, but we're getting closer and closer all the way to the finish. You can just see the effort in the riders' faces as they start to look behind to see the bunch.
There they are, the cars have been pulled out, which means the gap is not 30 seconds, and that means now that the peloton have got the 2 escapees firmly in their sights.
Well, we're starting to see some new teams near at the front. You can just see the light blue and white of NetApp. You can see Endura Racing in the black and the lime green. So all these riders are prepared to get involved with this race today to try and get up there on the stage.
Well, once the junction has been made, that would be the opportunity for one of the lesser known riders to try and jump clear for a surprise win.
Yeah, of course they can, and these 2 riders still pushing hard at the front. NetApp were riding at the front, the German sponsored squad, and so many other teams are thinking of this finish today, because they know that if they come to this finish, the favourite would be Mark Cavendish, so they want to try and maybe gain a march on him.
They're just dangling off the front, aren't they? Tenaciously clinging to a lead, but for how much longer? Well, it looks as though they've surrendered to me. There we are, 10 kilometres to go, and Gilbert pats his breakaway companion on the back, Russell Hampton, and said, well, we've had a good day. We've figured strongly in the 2 competitions, but I think the day is over for us now.
Yeah, it's been a great stage for these 2 riders. They're going to end up in the podium today, but they're not going to end up as the stage winner. You can just see the bunch fanning across the road, nobody wanting to take it up. Still 10 kilometres to go, although the wind is behind them. A lot of teams are now thinking of the win today.
That's the beauty of stage races. Everybody can't be the winner, and that's why they have all these alternative classifications, which gives all the other teams an opportunity to figure.
And here we go, Hugh, on the left-hand side. Top spot, Vlaanderen decide to go on the 10. As expected, when the 2 riders are brought back, we see a counter-attack going.
Well, top spot Vlaanderen, another Belgian squad having a crack here. Just what we were saying, a surprise move. Now then, Can he get clear? Will they give him his head? There it is, confirmed. Preben van Hek is the man going.
Well, this is a team we've seen often in the Tour of Britain, very prepared to go on the attack, but they're not giving them much at the moment. Still net up for the German team riding in the front. On the right-hand side, you've got the HTC train of Mark Cavendish.
So Preben van Hek is dangling there just off the front of the field, but for how much longer? You get the feeling here that the HTC Columbia Express is going to start to line up to give the lead out for Cavendish.
Well, it's still early at the moment. They're riding on the right-hand side with the Irish champion Mark Bramier. In the middle, in the light blue and white, you've got the NetApp team. So everybody's just sitting back at the moment. But Preben van Hek still pushing hard at the moment, and getting that hot, he has to take his gilet off.
That's right. Well, they've been wearing those most of the day, haven't they, with the rain that's been falling? But who's going to be the first to jump off the front of the main field, or will it be just a general build-up of the rhythm? Bramier, as you pointed out, a very good time trialer, and the Irish champion, he's looking after the interests of his teammates from the An Post squad.
Well, Preben van Hek is still determined to ride off the front of this bunch, but he's not going to get too far. He's only got about 50 metres at the moment, so starting to feel the pain.
Well, this stage through the borders despite the weather, and reminiscent of course of a stage race, with the riders breaking away, building up the advantage, and then the onus being left to the strong squads to try and wind them back in. So the return to Scotland for the Tour of Britain has proved to be very fruitful for two riders. That's Gilibert and Hampton, but who's he going to prove to be fruitful for with the stage victory?
Oh, that's yet to be seen at the moment. You would expect Mark Cavendish would be up there, Theo Bosch could be up there as well, so it's very open at the moment, and still a few teams sitting back, and we're going to see more and more attacking as soon as we get towards the finish.
Well, the race will come down a pretty straight road actually before it swings right over the Buccleuch Bridge into the White Sands Promenade, but they've had a chance to look at it already, remember, when they crossed the line for the final sprint in the Yodel Sprints competition. Well, he's still just dangling off the front, but it's not going to be for much longer, is it?
No, I wouldn't think so, with the might of HTC-Highroad at the front. Mark Bramier, the time trial champion of Ireland, sitting propped in the front trying to bring him back. This is going to be a bunch finish in the first stage of the Tour of Britain here in Dumfries.
It's pegged, isn't it, at about 200 metres, so he's not going away. The field are just letting him dangle out there. Yeah,
they're prepared to go down to the sprint, and you know, if I was in there, I wouldn't really be confident with the likes of Mark Cavendish and Theo Bosch there. I'm trying to do something about it. You can see some of the black jerseys of Garmin, also the black jerseys of Rafa Condor Sharp. This is going to be a very difficult sprint. It's slightly downhill over the bridge in a sharp right-hand corner, and it's very, very tricky.
That advantage is coming down now. I said it was about 250 metres before, but it now looks to be only about 100.
Yeah, it's definitely coming down. They're just letting them dangle as there, as you say. Riders at the back of the race, you can just see Russell Hampton on the left-hand side. He will be on the podium. Great pat in the back from him for the domestic pro to come up out here with the first stage with a jersey in his back.
Well, they obviously started with a game plan in mind, because Matt Stevens is their manager, a former British champion and one of the most respected pros on the domestic scene. But he still stubbornly stays out in front here, Preben van Hek. But what will be on the minds of the big teams now, Brian, as they are looking for their sprinters?
Well, you've got to remember, Hugh, there's only 6 riders in each team here, so they can't afford to hit the front too early. We've seen the Tour de France where they've got 9 riders and they hit the front about 5 kilometres to go, so they want to try and sit back and leave it to maybe some of the other squads before coming up later on.
You mentioned Rafa Condor Sharp. Well, there is a rider coming to the front there from Rafa Condor Sharp.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of movement at the front of the bunch. We see Vakon Soleil on the left-hand side having a go, still the German team of NetApp on the right-hand side. All over the road at the moment as people grapple for wheels.
Well, Vakon Soleil had a superb Tour of Britain last year, and they started today with only 5, but the skipper of their squad is the great Thomas de Gent, who won the King of the Mountains and the points in this event a couple of years ago.
Tour of Britain, a great race for him, but Vakon Soleil pushing hard at the front. NetApp still in it. Rafa Condor Sharp in 3rd place at the moment. Endura racing over there as we hit the 5 kilometre to go board. 5
kilometres of racing remaining. That's just a little over 6 minutes left then before we are going to know who will be the winner of the first stage here in Dumfries, and the pace is beginning to increase. You can see now that the riders are starting to have to work hard to stay in the wheel of the others, and look at this HTC Columbia lining out on the front, and it's last back. He looks across to see who's next, and that's Matt Bramier.
Well, Lars Bak has done his turn at the front, leaves the Irish champion Mark Bramier to ride the next kilometre in the front. But just watch out for the orange jerseys on the left-hand side as they're looking after Lars Boom and Theo Boss.
At the moment, Sky are not near the front. They've got a bit of work to do if they want to set it up for Ben Swift.
Well, they have to move, but there's still about 3 kilometres to go at the moment. A very fast finish, but I'm pretty sure these guys will be coming up very, very soon.
Well, that's Alex Rasmussen, who can sprint with the best as well. He is a superb rider on the track and very powerful.
Well, you got to remember, Mark Cavendish is here. He's right at the back of the train at the moment, just in behind Mark Renshaw at the moment. Bernard Iso in front of him. They have come with a very powerful squad. If you were to put your money on Cavendish to win this stage, you would do it, but he's going to be up against some tough competition here by the Rabobank riders in the orange.
He always looks calm though, doesn't he? Even though there's a lot of pushing and shoving in the closing stages of these sprints, he always depends entirely on, of course, Mark Renshaw. Now then, Rabobank again coming through here. I'm just trying to see whether I can see Theo Boss, actually, the former world sprint champion. Yes, there he is. He's tall, Theo Boss. He's about 6 back.
Well, you can just look at HTC-Highroad. Don't have it all their own way at the moment. Rabobank getting in the mix. You've got NetApp also in the mix as well. Some riders on the left-hand side in the black and the lime green. Moving up there, you see Ian Wilkinson, the domestic pro from Endura Racing. So everybody prepared to put something on the line today to try and get a result in Dumfries.
So that would be a story, wouldn't it, if Endura Racing could land a stage victory here. Wilkinson can mix it with the best when they charge for the line. So he's getting involved as well. They're taking both sides of the island here, and it looks very much to me as though the right side is the shorter route. Yes, it is. The other riders have lost about 50 metres.
Well, that's what happens. You have to read your manual, and the manual says, you know, the quickest way round the final roundabout was on the right-hand side, and one of the Endura riders is at the front now, followed by one of the Rabobank riders. So all to play for, but there's a lot of riders went round the wrong way and have lost their place at the front of this race.
Endura Man has definitely profited from that as we now get ever nearer to that run for the line. But HTC Columbia, they're always near. They never panic. They read these finishes absolutely superbly.
Well, you can just see the speed that they're coming into Dumfries at the moment, slightly downhill. As I said, a fast finish. We're starting to see gaps in the peloton at the moment. 2 kilometres to go. Rabobank are up there. United Healthcare are leading it out. But just look at the boys in black coming up on the outsides, and that's Team Sky. The
field is actually fractured there, and that was, of course, by the 2 routes taken around the island. And now that group at the front, it's not very big, and the others are trying to play catch-up.
But you can see at the moment, still United Healthcare at the front. 2 riders from Rabobank. Pretty sure the 2 riders in HTC are Mark Renshaw and Mark Cavendish. Also in the mix is Roger Hammond. So it's going to be an interesting sprint as we get down into the sands.
Look, there is Theo Boss. He's sitting second wheel, and that looks very much to me like Lars Boom. He's playing lead-out man for Boss. So it's Rabobank at the moment at the front. HTC Columbia just sitting at the side of them.
Yeah, you're looking at the front at the moment. You've got Tanking at the front, Boom in second place. Theo Boss in third place at the moment, and they are the riders to beat at the moment. 3 riders from Rabobank pushing hard as we head down towards the bridge.
It's not too far to go now, and the pace is really being applied here. Look at Cavendish. He's just sitting about 5 back, just taking a peep past his teammate to see who's actually gone ahead.
Well, this bunch is swelled at the moment, and we're coming close to the 1 kilometre to go, Hugh, and it's still Rabobank pushing hard at the front.
They are determined, the Dutch team here, to try and spoil the party for HTC Columbia. It's going to be a fantastic grand finale here at the end of this 105-mile stage that have seen the riders pedal through some pretty harsh conditions from Peebles down to this finish in Dumfries. Getting closer now to the right. That's the Buccleuch Bridge. This is where they turn now into the finishing straight. It drops downhill. They are cautiously round the corner, and it's still Rabobank at the front. Rabobank setting this up, and they're trying to set it up for Theo Boss. There's a little gap. They've got clear. HTC Columbia are in the mix as well. Mark Renshaw is there, and now Cavendish has launched the winning move. Cavendish takes it on the line. His voracious appetite for victory spills over here in Dumfries, and he wins stage 1 after a thrilling race that's taken him through the rain.
No one has a better nose for the finish line than Mark Cavendish, a hugely popular winner in Dumfries and a beautifully timed sprint with his HTC teammate Mark Renshaw. And confirmation of the result, HTC taking the top 2 spots, Rabobank's Theo Boss in 3rd and Vacances Soleil's Barry Marcus finishing 4th, the best placed young rider. Geraint Thomas with the same time as the leaders coming in 5th place.